I've got some super bad news for you guys. I'm not sure how you're going to be able to recover from this one, but Snoop Dogg, of all people, has stepped down from Faze clan board amid company setbacks. I just don't know how I'm going to manage, because of course when I think of Faze clan, I don't think of this cringe video where they went into GameStop and tried to flex that they're, Faze clan and they're Call of Duty professional. I'm just going to have to play it. I can't bring this up without playing this video. Let's go to GameStop. This is my store. Faze up, everybody. Throw them Faze ups in the sky. Have you seen my shirt? It's got an F on it. I'm with Faze Clan. This dude obviously is just a normal person. Has no clue who the fuck these people are or who Faze Clan is.
Oh man. Millions and millions of subscribers on YouTube. Professional Call of Duty athletes. We're competing at Con Champs. $400,000 tomorrow. Nice. We just thought we'd pay our respects. Yep.
Oh my god. It's...
I'll be damned, homie. Peace out. Peace up. Peace up.
I just can't. I can't believe anybody thought this was a good idea. Every time I even think about this, my body actually shudders. This is dose of cringe is true. Not many things make me cringe, but this, I'm sorry for showing you this. It's so bad. But obviously, this is a much more interesting topic than just laughing about Faze being shit, because Faze has some good esports teams still. I don't follow many esports. I follow Dota. They're not in that as far as I'm aware. And I follow CSGO. And they have a world-class, major winning CSGO team, which is one of the best in the scene, has some of the best players. And they do real well. So I obviously don't want to see Faze as an organization fold. Faze that I remember that I grew up with, I'll use that term, was the influencer phase that everybody knew from vlogs and, making content and from Call of Duty. And it was kind of like the bro organization. Everybody knew Faze was more about the social media and the clicks and the making content than they were about competing, other than when they very first started and having some actual good esports teams. So when I saw that they'd spent a shitload of money on hiring Snoop Dogg as basically a brand ambassador, I knew that this was dumb, because what does Snoop Dogg do for esports fans and influencer culture? Absolutely nothing. He's not going to bring in those dollar bills. Nobody's watching Snoop Dogg, Snoop Lion, Snoop whatever the fuck he's calling himself these days, and thinking, oh yeah, this dude represents, Gen Z in esports, and I'm going to buy into Faze stock because Snoop Dogg's on board. Nobody was ever thinking that. So it was just another one of these boardroom suit type decisions where they think, oh, how do I get down with the fellow kids? Why don't we get Snoop Dogg to crip walk while wearing a Faze Clan jersey or a Faze, medallion or whatever, which is a sign of the times, of course. It's pretty fucking dumb. But what happened with Faze Clan is basically a tale as old as time in almost everything, and especially what's happening in esports recently. What happens is a group of people that are really passionate about what they do, even if they're fucking cringe lords like this video, what they do is they build something from the ground up based on what they know. They know Call of Duty, they know influencer culture, they know making videos, they know making vlogs for Zoomers, back before Zoomers were called Zoomers. And then they get super popular and they make a load of money. And then what they do is they start selling out bit by bit, part by part. And eventually the people who made Faze Clan what it was no longer have any decision-making capabilities within the organization. And it's just run by VCs, suits, basically people that just want to extract value from it without even understanding what the value was in the first place. And this happens in almost every walk of life. It happens with indie game developers if they eventually get too big. They eventually go public. It happens with esports organizations. Anything that's grassroots, which of course esports was originally holistically. And eventually, of course, people like ESL, which is probably the biggest tournament organizer on the planet, sells out to the Saudi gaming group. And this just is across the board what's going to happen. What really makes me wonder, though, is why when you look at the Faze Clan Wikipedia, usually they have a section that says, controversies. There isn't one here. And yet Faze Clan, out of all esports organizations that I'm aware of, and like I say, I do follow esports, have had the most controversies ever. Shilling for gambling platforms, cryptocurrencies, being involved in unregistered or unregulated gambling with like skins casinos and stuff in CSGO. Most recently, it's been coming out that people have been getting fucked on contracts, having really predatory monetization in their contracts, essentially saying they get the majority of winnings and things like that, brand sponsorships. It seems like everyone who ever was in Faze has basically got a video on YouTube now saying why Faze is a terrible organization and not to be involved with them. And yet their Wikipedia's just got nothing about it. And then, of course, it brings us to Faze's stock, which at one point was $20. $20 for Faze stock. And they said Faze was worth $1 billion, and they raised hundreds of millions of dollars based on this. And then ever since then, it's just nosedived to the point where it's now worth 49 cents. And basically on the NASDAQ, if you're not trading above $1 per stock for 30 days, they send you a notice saying, we're going to be delisting you soon, or you should be delisting yourself, because the NASDAQ's not for penny stocks. And if you're under $1, you're by definition a penny stock. Which, of course, if you launch and say we're worth $1 billion and then your company's valuation is something like $75 million, and you actually look like a cryptocurrency with 95% down in 1 year, imagine investing in this one, being told it's worth $1 billion, and then it goes down 95% in 1 year. This obviously doesn't bode well, especially considering esports, everybody knows, is a black hole for money. You put money into esports with no expectation to get it out in the next 5 or 10 years. The people that have made money from esports are players, of course, because they get their end no matter what, unless the organization doesn't pay them, in which case lawsuits abound. And people who make organizations successfully that later on sell to these companies, just like Faze, because these were people, a bedroom org that started up when esports was just beginning, and basically rode this all the way up to the point where they could say, we're worth $1 billion. And then somebody said, yeah, actually you are, and gave them hundreds of millions, and who took that money? Like, I don't even know who's part of Faze anymore, and I'd never really followed it super closely, but I know this one's Faze Banks, who's of course been involved in a bunch of controversy. And I'm not sure these people care that their once, their thing that they made from the ground up essentially has been completely run into the ground by suits. But can they even complain? Because they're the ones that sold it to the suits in the first place. They rode it all the way up and then cashed out on the way down. But this is not the only esports org that have tried to list publicly for a cash injection and then just realized that why would you ever invest in an esports org when everybody knows they don't make money? The ones that are profitable are like, I think TSM was at one point because it was literally the biggest organization on the planet. And then the other one is like 100 Thieves, because 100 Thieves essentially have gone full on not into esports and just basically run it as an organization for streamers, influencers, and sell merch, which is exactly what Faze could have done if the people who were running Faze in the first place actually stuck around and didn't sell off the whole company and then got taken over by people who run it like a business instead of what it was originally, which was complete passion for the industry that they'd essentially helped build. Because again, when I think of Faze, I think of like Call of Duty bros and kids watching like vlogs of people walking around mansions doing the typical influencer stuff and selling brand partnerships and things like that. I don't think, of the traditional esports, excellent, we're striving to have the best team in every single field. And I also definitely don't think having adults, real adults and corporate people running the business is ever going to work out. I think the only way Faze ever gets back to what it was is to go back to what it was. And of course, most people aren't going to care, but with how esports is going right now and how a lot of organizations are basically running out of money, just exiting every space that they're in, leaving behind all of their legacy in all of these different esports that are still going on without them. And this is mostly, when you look into it, North American organizations, because they're the ones who basically went hard on the VC money and then basically paid as much money as they could for people who potentially wasn't even worth it, and then built these like super teams that were paying ridiculous sums of money, knowing that they aren't profitable as a business and they wouldn't be able to get it back. And eventually the VCs would be like, hold on a minute, do we actually want to keep doing this? And then they just end up selling all their teams and just fading into obscurity. CLG just vanished into the ether. They just basically got acquired by NRG, another North American fucking massively VC-backed business. But yeah, it's definitely interesting to see. Faze is saying, though, that Snoop Dogg is sticking around in terms of being paid to, have a multi-year collaboration agreement, but he is no longer on the board, which is just hilarious. If you ever told me, oh yeah, Snoop Dogg's on our board, I'd be like, why? Why is Snoop Dogg on your board? But yeah, there we go, rant over. I like esports. I like watching CSGO. I like watching Dota. So yeah, hopefully Faze still stick around, but obviously going from, oh, we're on the NASDAQ, that's amazing, to, oh, we're a penny stock because nobody wants to buy into esports because esports makes no profit. Why the fuck would you ever do that to yourself? Is obviously a really bad look. So there we go. Thanks for watching. Faze clan out, boys. Yeah, Faze up in the GameStop. I'll see you later.